Well, Paul, trade of the day between the beauty and the pharmacy sector.
Okay, for those that haven't been watching this show since the last week or so, what we're doing here is effectively coming up with one idea arising out of the show, which we can reach consensus on, and we then execute that trade for real on the Hot Stocks account, which is at Global Trader, our sponsor. And we're interested in actionable trade ideas. These are the ideas that are disseminated in the afternoon, giving you also a little video clip. So here we go. Of this sector, which generally we quite like, because we like the idea that the prospects for the sort of healthcare and beauty pharmacy type thing is looking fairly good. We've discussed the major retailers, but we'll leave them for another day. The stock, which has got both scale and a good market presence in that sort of drugstore business model, is Clicks. It's done well in recent years, although its profits and track record in the last year or so, the results were a little bit iffy. I'm quite positive on it. It's got that Musica division, which is a bit fraught, but you know, we'll look past that because maybe they can do something with it, and it's not that huge. So all things being equal, it looks like an interesting one for me. Maybe not the hottest stock on the market because it's fairly elevated, 22 price earnings ratio. But you know, Chris, from your perspective, can I twist your arm into agreeing that we'll do a little, you know, long position?
Absolutely. No, I love this stock. I've loved this for a long, long time. You know, I wasn't here when Jack Golden started it back in the 1960s, but I mean, you know, it's been a great performer. It's going through a little bit of a hiccup phase, but I mean, I see that as being purely temporary. And let's not also forget they've got a thing called UPD, which is a pharmaceutical distributor, and that's very, very good, solid earnings.
That's the one that delivers people's chronic care medicines either to their place of work or you know some other sort of yeah.
So you're going to take a small position in this one, Paul?
Well, when I say small, obviously what we've been doing is building up lots of different long positions as we work our way into this concept. So we don't want to take something that's too big, but we do want to have some exposure to the healthcare sector. In a couple of weeks' time, we'll probably talk about the pharma companies themselves, and then we can get excited about Aspen or Adcock or whatever. But for the moment, let's pop this in. But we're not going to go and put our entire grub stake on the table on this position only, because we need to leave capital for future positions we're going to take.
So Chris, at this share price, what do you make of Clicks?
Yeah, look, I think it's hot, and yeah, it's elevated, but for a good reason. This is a quality company. I like it.
Paul?
Good, and I think also there's scope for it to surprise now positively with regard to its earnings, because it has been growing its store network. So in almost all the new upscale malls, there's a Clicks in there somewhere. And I think they're going to continue to do that. They do have a bit of competition from the likes of Dis-Chem, from the big retail groups who are also doing pharmacies. But in a sense, you know, to have a pharmacy at the back of a ShopRite Checkers doesn't really mean anything, because it's really just another little supplementary reason to go to the ShopRite Checkers. For Clicks, what it is, it's the destination where you know you're going to get that particular kind of homewares, sort of healthcare, beauty, shampoos, hair care products, all that kind of stuff, which is quite a positive and exciting category. And then as an afterthought, you know, you can get your you know, medical prescription there as well. But to be clear, the medical prescription thing, I'm not saying that's the major selling point, because we know the government controls quite tightly what pharmacists are allowed to charge per dispensing of you know, a particular drug or whatever it is. There's a set amount, I think it's 26 Rand or something, and that's capped. So, you know, you can drive volumes, but you can't really make a huge fortune out of the pharmacy itself.
So, Paul, at the end of the week, we'll be reviewing how Clicks has done, right? We
will. We'll get in this afternoon as best we can. We'll then report that. That'll get distributed to the group that are following, that have signed up to get the followhotstocks.com piece, in addition to this video clip that we've just made now. So people can see that, but in order to get the full sense of why we picked it, you obviously have to watch the whole show, and we're doing this every day. We're doing this with every day, every trade, and we'll decide what the scale of the position is. Another thing to note is there may be some catalyst or another that causes us to do well in this trade, then we might get out of it. We might also have some disaster which befalls us, and then we'll get out of the trade as well. Understand, we're not going to hold Chris to it, but at some point we'll revisit this group of stocks and we'll say, okay, how are we doing? Do we still want to keep the position if we're still in it, or do we want to kick it out? So there's going to be that kind of approach, sort of a pigs at the trough approach, as they used to call it, where the idea is, okay, if something's in the portfolio and you want to replace it, you've got to have a better idea, then you can take this one out.
So that's all on www.followhotstocks.com.